Hello dear viewers, and welcome to another video from this here dwarf from the ancient dwarven hold of our ancestors. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I do have a bit of a cold at the moment, so please excuse me if I sound a bit strange. Today we will be talking about the game Victor Vran. Victor Vran is an isometric action RPG that was developed by Hammermont Games, published by Eurovideo Median and released in July 2015. Before we begin proper, if I could beseech thee, dear viewers, if you like what I do here down in the ancient hold, maybe subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and or maybe leave a comment on your thoughts about this game. Victor Vran is set in the fictional city of Zagovria that has been overrun by a tide of evilry. As Victor Vran, you arrive on the scene looking for an old friend, before being pulled into the defence of the city, during which you learn the greatest secrets behind it all. The setting has a 19th century East European feel to it. Somewhat similarly to my video last week about another fine ARPG, The Incredible Adventures of Van Helsing. You should be able to see that on screen somewhere now. The theme is dark and spooky, with ghouls and vampires that are up to no good. Though I just said the game has somewhat of a dark theme of fighting the undead and demons, the graphical style is actually quite bright and colourful. The different parts of the cityscapes you'll be fighting your way through, like old crypts, cemeteries and the city streets, have a flare of colour to them alongside the gloominess of it all. This makes for a more jovial looking game, rather than a darker and sinister like perhaps you might find in Path of Exile or Grim Dawn. Indeed, the various beasties you will come across are similarly designed, not appearing particularly grim or dark. They are still numerous in their design though, but there is a fair amount of reuse of models which you will notice as you play through the game. One aspect of note is that you cannot change the camera distance to Victor at all. It is fixed at what it is, and thankfully that's a decent distance, but it would be nice to be able to zoom in every now and again, or indeed go further out if possible. Happily, it isn't a big deal. The other thing you're able to do in game is being able to turn the camera at a full 360 degrees. I can only recall Grim Dawn being the other game that allows you to do this, though I am an old dwarf and may have forgotten. The sound in game is fairly decent. Yes, I do have a way with words, dear viewer. The firing of the weapons and the use of spells provide ample feedback when dispatching agents of evilry. There is voice acting used throughout as Victor speaks to various NPCs or provides a voiceover for some description or other. I am fairly sure that Geralt's voice actor in the Witcher series is also the voice of Victor Vran here, so it is good calibre. Several other NPCs are fully voiced as well and are good enough for the task, if some of what they're saying is not particularly enthralling. Interestingly enough, there is a bodiless voice that accompanies you and talks to you during your travels. Most of the time they mock or taunt you, being sarcastic and mean. Occasionally they will help you out with a hint or provide a route for you to follow, but most of the time, to me personally, they were just annoying. You begin the game having just arrived in Zagovria on a mission to discover the fate of your friend and fellow hunter, Adrian. It is up to you to discover their whereabouts before you're drawn into the greater plot as the story unfolds. You'll be prompted to decide on what sort of outfit you wish to use for Victor. Rather than being a mere cosmetic choice, each outfit provides you with different attributes. One might provide armour and health, for instance, while another, which I chose, changes how you play through the use of generating resources used for powers. There's a resource known as Overdrive, which Victor can use to cast his demonic spells, which is usually generated through dealing regular damage to enemies. With the outfit I took, it could only be generated by critical hits, which changes how you spec accordingly. Besides the Overdrive resource used to cast demon powers, which are a range of different damage and utility spells, your main attacks are designated by the weapon you're wielding. For example, if you equip a giant hammer, your attacks will be melee orientated with big pummeling but slow damaging skills. On the other hand, if you equip a shotgun, your attacks will take the form of different ranged shots, from point blank AoE spread damage to single accurate attacks. So unlike most other ARPGs I can recall, there is no class talent tree that guides how you might build your character, and no default abilities provided to you from the get-go. The classless approach to character building is quite refreshing, allowing you completely free reign to build whatever character you please. There are stats, of course, like weapon damage, crit chance, armor penetration, etc., which are affected by the stats on your equipped items. But, unlike the norm in this genre, you do not have multiple slots for different armor types, like chest pieces, boots, gloves, etc. Only aforementioned outfit you begin the game with or acquire while you play through the game. So, the lack of item slots and skill trees might leave you thinking Victor Vran is a bit on the simple side of things when it comes to depth. I don't think this would be a false assumption, but the game does provide further ways to build your character. This is achieved through the card system. Victor will unlock up to 5 card slots on his character sheet. Each slot can be filled by any card you might have acquired. There is a whole range of different fate cards depicting different entities, like the Archer, the Guard, or the Moon. Each entity provides a different bonus to your character. These can range from crit chance and damage to affecting skills of specific weapons and all sorts. Each card comes with a cost in Destiny points. Your total cost of equipped cards can never be more than your current level of Destiny points. Along with weapons, cards come in different rarities, providing more powerful buffs and costing more Destiny points. Demon powers too come in different rarities, and you can eventually equip up to 2 at a time. This is it in terms of character customization. It is still rather on the leaner side of things, lacking the depth of other ARPGs out there, but perhaps that might be a positive to some players who might be seeking a simpler way of playing, not having to worry about the minutiae of everything. Besides those other features, there is a transmutation bench in the base hub in the city, which you can use to upgrade items or generate new ones through different recipes. This is resonant of the cube in Diablo 2 or the vendor recipe system in Path of Exile. Okay, so enough about all that. How is the combat? Combat in Victor Vran is mostly on the fun side of things. I went for a crit focused build, mainly using shotguns to deal powerful hits with high critical damage. One of the shotgun skills does a lot of single target damage, and every time you kill a mob it resets its cooldown. This can lead to great chains of spamming this one ability as you cycle through lesser bad guys, one-shotting them. While battling evil, perhaps uniquely to Victor Vran, the player character is able to both jump and dodge. This allows for a more vertical approach to combat, with you able to literally jump out of the way of incoming attacks. Each weapon type provides quite a unique style of play. There is a grenade launcher, a lightning gun, and a gaggle of melee weapons like rapiers, swords, and reaping scythes. The rapier provides quick stabbing attacks, while the scythe provides sweeping attacks and a whirlwind. Fighting baddies is enjoyable, and the skills you use are impactful and usable no matter what weapon you make use of. The enemy variety isn't massively diverse, but it's okay. It's a little lame sometimes when enemies deflect some of your massive hits rather than you blowing them away, leading to a more methodical approach rather than blasting through a map a la Path of Exile. There is a fun game loop here for combating evilry and collecting loot. It can feel like a bit of a slog sometimes, but regularly receiving new demon spells, destiny cards and weapons does keep you going. When you load into a map, you'll be presented with certain tasks you can complete that will provide bonus gold, XP and other rewards. This nudges you into switching approach and weapon loadout, as one such challenge might require that you kill 10 vampire thralls with a hammer, or destroy 500 spiders with melee damage. There are monsters that have different spells and abilities, and bosses with their own ways of fighting, which is cool, but Victor Vran provides a way of increasing the challenge further for our hero. This is accomplished through the use of hexes. Hexes are a group of items in your inventory which you can turn on or off at will. Each of these hexes will have some effect to increase the difficulty of play. For example, giving health regeneration to baddies or increasing their damage. This is quite an interesting ad hoc little system that allows you to crank up the difficulty or reduce it at your own leisure. Each hex, as well as providing greater challenge, will also increase the XP and gold that you will receive. The story in Victor Vran isn't particularly inspiring, but it gives some backstory to what's going on in game at least. The combat is fun, switching weapons and skills whenever you fancy, and the acquisition of loot is a good experience. I believe the shorter playtime and simpler approach to character progression of Victor Vran is a boon. If you're looking for something that isn't as heavy as other ARPGs, then this fits the bill quite nicely. It is a light and streamlined approach which I think would appeal to certain gamers quite well. I played the whole game with mouse and keyboard. but you can play with a controller, and perhaps that might even be better for all the dodging and jumping you'll get up to. You can also play multiplayer online with friends and local as well, which is nice. I believe Victor Vran is another one of those unsung heroes in the ARPG genre, doing what it does well and not outstaying its welcome. It is worth checking out. The game is available on both Good Old Games and Steam and is on sale quite often, so you can grab it pretty easily and cheaply. And there we are, dear viewers, another video from me in the Ancient Dwarven Hold. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you are doing well. I shall see you next time.